In July, I travelled through Slovenia and part of the Eastern coast on a road trip. I shot my Pentax 645. I shot my cheap Nikon point-and-shoot RF10, which the results actually surprised me. They weren't bad at all, especially of Croatia, which will be next week's video. And I also shot my Polaroid SX70, which again is mostly of Croatia. So enjoy the video. In Ljubljana, we stayed in this Airbnb with this massive poker table in there for some reason, and took this on the point and shoot, which I didn't mind actually. It was the first one, so not too bad. We went to this area called Metal Cover, where basically seems like there's no rules too much. Drugs, drinking, I think they're pretty much left alone here. In the night there's loads of parties, but in the daytime it's a bit of a different view. There's also this really weird sculpture of a foot rat thing, which is pretty creepy, but makes for a cool photo. Next shot, we went to Union, which is the local lager here, and these are just the kegs inside. Also explains the next clip. Ill. You ill? As I was shooting black and white all day, that's all I had left in my camera, but I wasn't expecting anything, but I quite like these sunset ones actually. Plus the foreground wasn't too interesting, so it's nice that the black and white kind of just blanked that part out. Next day we headed to the LOGAR Valley. Well, just outside the LOGAR Valley. I actually booked the wrong place. It's just a little bit outside of it, but the views are still incredible, and I can't imagine that the LOGAR Valley was that much better views. Shot some HP5 the day before and forgot to change the ISO the next day, so these extra chrome photos came out 2 stops underexposed, but honestly I handled it kind of well. I mean, they're not great and they would have been a lot better, but I think not the worst thing. On the drive to the hotel, we came across this little horse with all his little cow friends. He's pretty cool actually. He just kind of approached us, but I don't know if he's hungry or looking for food, but he's pretty friendly. After we arrived at the hotel, we decided to go for a quick hike. It took a bit longer than expected, but the views were incredible and it was definitely worth it. Shot my 200mm Pentax 6.7 lens on my 645 with an adapter, so it's about 135 in 35mm. I love how this image came out. It's quite close, and that little calf with his tongue hanging out is super cute. shot a couple more of these cows on Ektachrome and then changed it off at FP4. I mean, every time you see cows you should take photos, they're so cool. I really like this shot on FP4 of these cows, they turned out really shiny. I think it's maybe because I used polarizing filter, but I really liked how it went. Let's rock and roll. I really like this photo here of the chairlift intersecting the mountains. I like how it breaks it up and adds a little bit of a different dimension to the scene. The air must be thin up here. Done. On the way down from the mountain I shot some Portra 160. I really like how these turned out when the sun was setting. I think they made it look really dramatic with the clouds. Very hungry little birds.
BLED.
You can see here in my new camera strap there's a 120 roll that you can fit on it. It's kind of useful but also extremely nerdy. Came here to the castle on top of the hill in the day and then visited again later at night when the moon was out and it looked really nice. You'll see shortly. It's not easy to eat. After eating my daily calorie allowance in one bite of cake, we walked up the hill on the other side of Lake BLED, where this man was painting Lake BLED, and his painting looked really good. These were shot on Ektachrome, kind of sets a blue cast on all Ektachrome photos, but wasn't the biggest fan. I thought it would kind of work in this one because the lake's so blue, but it didn't come out quite how I expected. Came back to the castle when the moon was out and the sun was setting, and I really liked this photo of the moon and the flag in one. yeah, it's mounted. Gross. It's not very good at it. You were gonna say that. This gorge was insanely blue. I tried to use XR 100 to capture the colours, but they still didn't quite produce how blue it was, and I don't think it really did it justice. The great thing about this Pentax 645 is that it's square, so in the past clip you could see me rest it on the handrail and then take a slightly longer exposure with very minimal camera wobble. That's what I kind of loved about it as well. I didn't need to take a tripod everywhere. I picked up some Fuji Pro 400H just after discontinuation, and this one was shot on it. I really like how simple it is, and I think the Fuji renders the colours really nicely here. We hiked to another lake just past Lake BOHINJ in the mountains. The weather didn't look great, so we didn't stay all that long, but it was fairly pretty. Just a little bit chilly up there, so I didn't fancy swimming. Next day we came back to Lake BOHINJ and took a few more photos, but it started to rain again there, so we weren't there too long, but it was pretty relaxing, and it's not the most touristy lake like BLED, so it's really cool. Recommend it. This way all the teens come to skim rocks and take out their anger, so I decided to do the same, but my skimming didn't go great. Slovenia, the country of uphills. Oh shit. We hiked to another waterfall, and it was pretty incredible views, but seemed like thunder was on the way, so we just stayed there for a few moments and then ran back down. Very unfortunate name. Went to that casino later in the day and won a whole €2, so pretty big time. I think this could be my favourite shot of the whole trip. I love that foreground of the black trees, and then even slightly more there's a thin white tree in the middle, and then the background of those jagged rocks. I love those layers. This photo here was taken on the RF10 point and shoot, and I really like it. It looks really nostalgic and the colours are great. This was the Lomography 400 and I was really impressed with that little point and shoot. There's this little valley in this lake area we were, and I loved how the white shale contrasted against the black trees. I'm really glad I chose to shoot this in black and white. I really liked how they turned out in the end. Next day we drove to Soka Valley and passed by the Russian chapel, which was built in remembrance of the Russian prisoners of war that lost their life in World War I, building this road through the mountains. It's quite incredible. I really like these shots here taken on Hectare 100. I like the background and the foreground. I like how Piper here gives perspective of the whole scene. Here we drove down through the Soka Valley, following the Soka River, which was definitely the bluest river I've ever seen in my life. Again, these photos don't do it justice, but it was pretty incredible. And if you're ever in Slovenia, you should definitely visit this area. After the Soka Valley, we went down to Piran on the coast and then through to Croatia, but that's next week's video. This is just 10 days going through Slovenia. Last stop here in Slovenia was Pajama Castle and some caves. Unfortunately I couldn't take any photos in the caves as it wasn't allowed. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, but I managed to get a few photos on the outside of it, but they're nothing outstanding, to be honest. that's all for this video on Slovenia. Next week we'll go through some of Croatia and review some of those photos and a little bit of video footage, but it won't be too long like this one.